Welcome, podcast fans. It's time for the What's Up Bro podcast show, presented by J&J Production Studios, the home for all your entertainment needs. All kinds of great topics discussed every week, a variety of different themes offered, special guest appearances, prize giveaways, and so much more. Stay tuned. And now, here are your hosts, Sam Crow and Big Hoss.
A very happy Saturday to all of you guys. Welcome back to the next episode of the show. It is I, Sam Crow, here with Big Hoss. Good day, Big Hoss. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
All right. Looking forward to getting back into our video game talk. If you guys missed that last night, you want to catch up on that, you can. The episode's up, but we're going to jump back into the video game world yet today. We had so much to cover. We didn't get to everything last night, so we're going to talk even more of that. It's one of, I know, Hoss's favorite subjects, as is mine. It's a great relaxation, tale as old as time activity. So for all of you guys who are the nerd who sits behind a computer or on a gaming system, a console, whatever you have, this is going to be the episode for you guys. So we're going to jump right into that in just a second there. Going to give a couple other quick announcements in case you weren't here last night too, just to give you guys some updates there. Biggest one is, and we want to keep plugging this because it's actually officially, 2 weeks from today, in fact. Today is Saturday, February 25th. A reminder for you guys, you may have heard it already, but for those that haven't, mark your calendars, March the 11th. That's 2 weeks from today. A very special episode of the What's Up Bro podcast show. It signifies our 100th episode that we have completed. Where's my sound effects for that there? Let's do the... Thank you. Oh, please, stop it. Sit down, you guys. Come on now. Yes, our 100th episode, hard to believe, barely 6 months in, and 100 shows down, with so much more things to go. Who knows what's going to happen? And again, we are only barely, not even 3 months into the new year yet. 2023 is the big year for us. This is what we're going to make a lot of headway and noise. So this is a great way to celebrate that. If you guys can be here live with us, that would be awesome. If not, we understand. You can always listen to the episode at any point, but... we're looking forward to it. We hope you guys will be there. It's going to be a fun party night. We're going to have a great time. Might be an extra long episode. We're going to kind of play with it. We'll start making some plans there. We'll see how it goes. But as long as you guys come up and show up, we appreciate that. Love to have you there. Cannot wait. Let's see. What else do we have for announcements there? Our standard stuff. I don't think we have too much, actually, because we did quite a bit yesterday. Of course, as always, mention this to you guys, too. Check out our Linktree account. Has all of our studio accounts, all of our social medias where you can follow us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, which we're still working on getting up there. You can check out the store we have for merchandise. We're working on that. Check that out there. If you want to get your exclusive merchandise, studio merchandise, or your favorite show, the What's Up Bro podcast show logo mug or shirt, we'll also have that for the sports show, for the Law and Justice show, for the Game Corner, all kinds of neat stuff. We're going to have stickers and probably some buttons, I think, is an option. So... go check it out. The store is up. No merchandise there yet. We're still working on getting the pixelation right for the photos that we have. Once we do that, we're going to start putting them on some designs so you guys can kind of see it in the store what it looks like, and you can grab your official merchandise there. So stay tuned for that. Also, something that we will probably add for the website, which I come to think of it, I should let Olivia know that, which I probably will. Although I think she has the link tree, so she may or may not need that, but I'll ask. But speaking of that, too, that reminds me also to mention to you guys, the official studio website, the What's Up Bro podcast show website, will be coming up hopefully later this year. We're still planning for that. Hope you guys are just as excited as we are. We cannot wait. It's going to be awesome, and we appreciate Olivia's work in putting that together. So, with that being said, let's jump in here. Now, we are utilizing, in case you guys, just to give you a little heads up there, we're on Zoom today because, as you guys know, we're not live. This episode has been pre-recorded earlier today. And so we find that when we do recording that the Zoom quality is much clearer than sometimes the Discord. I know there's been a lot of multi-function issues there. So we're doing that today. Unfortunately, because of that, we're going to have to break periodically for sure because we only get about 30 to 40 minute window to have the meeting going before we get cut off. And then we got to get Hoss back in here reconnected. So we're going to be taking a couple of breaks in between, but we do anyway, so that won't interrupt. But in case it goes off for some reason or Hoss disappears, which, he does do that. He's kind of wiry like that, but this is not because of him. It's because of the system. So we want to make sure you guys are just forewarned of that could be the case. But stay tuned. Don't go away. We will get everything reconnected in a short amount of time. All right, so let's dive back in here. We covered so much stuff last night. I mean, talked about a lot of the systems that we have, we played, we used. Hoss and I shared a lot of different topics talking about there. We didn't even get to, which I want to talk a little bit today, because I know I typically do a lot. I don't think you do quite as much, but a lot of like PC gaming. Do you do a lot of PC gaming, Hoss? Probably not too much, right?
Not really.
Nothing like no. Your preference is more the system itself. That's more of the favorite. I'm usually like that too. I mean, there are some games I'll play, and there's some online ones that we'll do, but now here's the thing though. I'll say this. Now we talked about as we were growing up. Most of the games I actually had were for the computer, because early on we didn't really have a system right away. Like, I didn't have a game system or console that I owned that we could play games on. So really the only thing I would save up and buy, which I forgot to mention this, and I should have did that in our little history of our gaming lives, I actually spent most of my time on the computer, so I'd buy a lot of games for that, which I got really good manipulating the keyboard and moving around. But I don't know, there's just something about... And I know computer gaming nowadays, you can hook up controllers, which I think controllers are just the absolute best, as opposed to the standard using the WASD keys or the arrow keys and then clicking. And then the thing I always had a hard time with, when you're typing and moving, but then you have to use the mouse to move like your camera around and stuff, it's like having two hands going at one time. Something's just simpler about having the joystick in your hand where you can do everything all at once, and your thumbs get really, really strong. So... that was always something that I found was challenging, but it was still a lot of fun. And again, didn't have any other system. So if I wanted to play games, and anytime I wanted to purchase games, I usually bought them for the computer. Now, several years back, couple decades ago, actually now, a decade or so ago, that dates me again, computer games were pretty popular. Nowadays, I can honestly say, and maybe Hoss has noticed this if you go shopping for games, you don't see a lot of PC games advertised not much anymore. I don't think that's really the common... Not like the hard disk where you can get it and put it in your computer and download it, and everything is digital now. Like the Steam account, for example. You can download Steam games on your computer, but those are all digital. You don't have to, have a disk and upload things, and... I'm trying to remember like the old days. You had to pop in like 3 or 4... I don't know if you ever did this if you have your computer, but you had to pop in like 3 or 4 disks just to download a whole game. Then you had one disc that was the playable disc that you actually played with, but you had to take out all the 5 discs underneath it just to kind of, just to get the whole damn game downloaded. That was pretty much the, and then the download would take, I think the longest one I ever had, computer-wise, it took like 2 hours just to download the game. And I'm like, I wanted to play on the game, and then by the time it was like, my mom's like, you can't use the computer anymore. I'm like, well, I wasted all that time I didn't play anything. It was the game. Like we see it a lot of times in PlayStation now too. Some games you download, it takes forever. Like, so these files are so big. We talk about pixelation and graphics, and a lot of these games have a higher rate of engine that they go. So, it's really something. It's really something interesting. Now, what's a game that for you, Hoss? How much time have you waited for a download? Like, what do you think's your longest time that you've waited for a game to download?
Probably like 3 hours.
I would say, yeah, that sounds about right. I think for me it was... what game was it? Was it one of the games? I don't think it was Elder Scrolls. I forget what it was. It took like 10 hours. Now, granted, I didn't sit there. I let it run, and then I had to go up and just flick the controller, make sure the system didn't fall asleep. But, so annoying. And then what gets annoying, especially with PlayStation, is you have a game where if you want to play it, and then it's due for updates... And then depending on what function you want to use the game for, you can't do anything until you update the game, like the online features, for example. So annoying. And typically I would leave like the system on, because if you put the system in sleep mode, it'll still download and update, just conserving the power. But it's really just, it's such a hassle. And then, till you get the game set up, till you start playing. I can see why people say, why do you take so much time playing? I'm not playing game. Like, by the time I load everything, upload everything, get everything set up, and actually play the freaking game, I maybe only play for like 2 hours. Like, the other 4 hours were just prep time. So, that's one thing that's really, I'm hoping maybe one day they'll figure that out. That's one thing technology hasn't seemed to caught up with, is a quicker download pace. But Maybe one day, maybe one of these next-gen systems that comes out, one of these newer consoles, they'll get it figured out somewhere. One of these companies will get that brilliant idea. But that back in the Stone Age, yeah, computer gaming was... I mean, I was a huge nerd for that. Literally. Like, that was the trend back in the day, which that's days of ancient past. Like, you don't see that anymore, but that's definitely good gaming. If you guys are old school gamers, you know what I'm talking about. It's a great time. A lot of great games for the computer, depending on what computer system you had. Now, I'm not talking like Windows 95. I'm not talking dinosaur stuff. I'm talking like anything after like Windows XP or the higher generational, better computer graphics screen, graphic card, all that kind of stuff. I have a gaming laptop which I use, which I bought specifically for video gaming because it's built with a better quality video card and has better RAM and a better processor and better cooling system, all that stuff. So that's another good investment. I figured it was important because couldn't play games on a regular desktop because the graphic card wasn't supported or wasn't enough storage space or whatever the case is. So that's always a problem. That's another good point though, and I know Haas knows a lot about this too. There, when you download games, though, you notice now I can tell. I'll share my part, but let's see this. So now Haas you still have your PS4.
Yep.
Now, what's your internal storage? What do you have on that? Is that a terabyte?
I think 4 terabytes.
So you have the biggest one, the 4. Okay. So that's actually in good shape because when I got my PS4, I didn't know this. I bought a 500 gigabyte one. Got filled up pretty quickly, and I barely downloaded like 5 games. I had to buy an external drive, which I have. That's 4 terabyte, which is plugged in. I may upgrade the PS4. I may get a new one, just get a 4 terabyte down the road, just to save myself some time. But it's really incredible how there's so many games, and some of these games are like back in the day too. Again, now if you had I think you had a PlayStation, right? You had the PS1. Did you have I don't know much about the older system. Did you have memory cards you could insert for that, or was that internal memory?
Yeah.
So you did have that. Okay, I know some of the older systems had it, but I don't know how many did. And I know I had it for the GameCube and the Wii even had it. You could get memory cards you could insert in the gaming system that could save your progress, or you could save the game's data and storage on those SD cards because that's just how they were built. And then of course it made it easier to transfer. If you ever had to get a new system, you just unplug the SD card or the game and storage card and plug it back in. So it's kind of nicer now to have everything downloaded. But it always impresses me how these games get. The farther advanced they get, the higher the quality of it. It's how much storage space. I have one PS4 game that took I want to say 60 or so gigabytes to download or data. I'm like, gee, or megabytes, and I'm like, holy cow! That doesn't sound like a lot, but that adds up pretty quickly. So, and again, like I said, I had 40 games for the PS4. Now all of them are downloaded on my external storage device, so I can always pull that plug and transfer it to a new system. If I ever get a new system, just re-download them all there, which I probably will do at some point. It makes it easier, but if you can do like Haas did, if you get a 4 terabyte, if you're buying a new system, this is for all of you first timers or if you long timers are upgrading. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but believe you and me, and Haas will probably agree with this too, is it's worth buying the extended storage or buy the system that has bigger storage on it because you're going to pay for it anyway, right? So regardless of, even if you say I'm only going to get 5 or 6 games, it's always better to have the storage and not use it than buy a device that has this much storage that you need this much space for. Rather get this much storage for this much space, and then you have room to play around with. So those are some of the complicated things that get tricky when you have these newer systems. And again, I don't know much about the PS5. I don't know much about I think it's Xbox One or Xbox Next Gen. I forget what they call the new system. And I mean, you read all these things. I read all the reports coming from Sony Entertainment and companies that manufacture these and what they're trying to do. But it's really something that's hoping that they'll get it figured out at some point. But really, make sure that should be a top goal. And if you buy something by used, make sure. I don't usually buy used systems, but if you do, make sure it's in good condition. Don't overspend, and there's always something that could happen and go wrong. So just be mindful of that. So let's have Big Hoss. So Big Hoss, when you go shopping for your electronics, your extra controllers, your games, your systems, whatever. What is your method of operation? What do you do when you're looking for?
I just look for what I'm looking for.
Do you ever like?
No, really.
Do you ever check like a couple different places, see who has the better deal? Like say,
I usually go to Walmart.
Okay. Usually pretty good. You usually find pretty good deals. What you're looking for when you go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I've gotten a few things at Walmart that can actually be a pretty good buy there, as opposed to like say Amazon. Although Amazon, I've had a couple of gems there. eBay, as I've mentioned previously too, I've got a lot of my stuff from there. Sometimes the actual game store, like GameStop, I will go on occasion. I don't go all the time, but you can find good deals like that. And really, the quality is the same. It's just a different carrier. So as long as you're happy with it. Now, one good point I bring for that is, it's a good question for Big Hoss too, is when you do go shopping, and I'm trying to think how to phrase this question, do you search out for the name brand? So in other words, if you're buying PlayStation equipment, say an extra controller, you're making sure it's from Sony, like it has...
Yes.
Okay. Because that's very important, and why I say that for you guys, this is a little tip for you first-time buyers again, or you guys are looking to upgrade. I've seen deals online where you can get a PS4 controller, but it's from a different manufacturer. It's not from Sony. Highly recommend you don't do that. I know it's cheaper sometimes, but it's true what they say. You get what you pay for, and especially for functionality purposes, it's best to get... PlayStation is a Sony-made system. It's best to get a Sony controller that is compatible with the PlayStation 4. I know some of these other cheaper brands can maybe work, but for me, I'm always a rule of thumb is, and Hoss probably similar too, stick to what we know for sure actually is going to work. If you mess around with all these cheaper things just to save a few extra bucks, it's probably going to cost you more if the controller breaks down. I've heard people complain about they buy these cheap controllers, the light doesn't work, it doesn't sync up to my PlayStation. I used it for maybe a week and then it broke, the battery didn't work. So, you might have to pay a little more for a good controller, but you'll know that it's going to last you, and you know that it's definitely from the manufacturer that makes the game system that's compatible with it. That's a huge thing. Now, if you want to go the used route, and do you buy stuff used, Hoss? Do you ever get like used stuff that's, or do you usually buy brand?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So, and it's not bad, right? You can use somewhat used stuff. That doesn't have to be brand new. There's nothing wrong with that. Have you ever had any problems with anything used, whether it's a game or a controller? Have you ever found...
No, not really.
And everything? I haven't really either. I've bought some used things, and my usual rule of thumb, I say, is if you're going to buy used, I'm a little leery about the actual gaming system. Like, if you're going to spend money, I'd rather buy the system itself brand new, because that's factory made coming out. I don't mind buying a second-hand controller, or maybe even a game or two, because they're relatively cheap enough that you can replace them. But whenever you see like the game systems that they say they're refurbished, meaning somebody rebuilt them and fixed them, a little cautious about that. Now, unless a lot of you guys listening are techie and can take your system apart and put it back together if you want to, I can't do that. Hoss doesn't dare do that, right? You would not try to take your system together to find a problem and put it back together, right? We're not that good. So For me anyway, too, I try to buy the system fairly new, or at least the major system, because that's the biggest expense you're going to pay. But there's some things to be said about used, and some people do take care of it, and you can find good ones. And sometimes people beat things up. It's just depending on how you grew up and what environment, where your game system was. Like, I had friends growing up that had their game systems in the basement because they had a gaming area with concrete floors, and just from like throwing controllers or whatever, they're going to break, they're going to be dinged up because they're hitting concrete, and they're plastic, controllers. So, that sort of thing tends to happen. I mean, even the thickest, like the GameCube controllers are built that way. You mentioned about you played the 64. The Nintendo 64 controller was really built pretty solid too. But when you throw them enough and you hit them on the ground, they do break. It's going to happen at some point. So, definitely those are some factors you have to consider when purchasing a used item. But again, there's nothing wrong with doing that. And I mean, you can always, you never know. And maybe you have friends. I had friends that say, I don't need extra stuff. I had it. It's barely used. Do you want it? I'll take it. I can use it, and I trust enough that I know they took care of it. So, they're not going to give me anything that's too junky or that's could be any kind of crappy garbage stuff that's not going to work. So, it's all about the thought process whenever you're purchasing different accessories or buying new games, or even, and I know Hoss knows about this too because you do sometimes. I'm assuming anyway. Even sometimes when you have like add-ons, if you buy like add-ons within a game, like sometimes you can buy like, depending on the game, like I don't know, like what's a good one for example? Let's see, or I think the Call of Duty might. Grand Theft Auto. There's in-purchase in-games. You can buy like perks and add-ons. I know Elder Scrolls had that too. A lot of fun things to help enhance the gameplay, which is not altogether a bad thing, as long as you're not using. I saw this. I want to share this. Maybe think of this story. I don't know if Hoss ever saw this. It's pretty funny. If you haven't seen this, you can check it out. I believe it's on YouTube as well. But there was, or was it? What was I watching? There was a video where this kid was buying. He had a game. I forget what the video game was, but he was like buying stuff like in the store, like buying like certain character. I think it was World of Warcraft, if I'm not mistaken. But he was buying like upgrades for his character, weapons, armor, clothing. Like he bought like I guess you can have like an animal sidekick kind of thing. Why it's funny though is he was using his mom's credit card, and so. He spent like, what was it? He spent like $300 or $400 on all this stuff, and nobody caught on until the credit card company. I think mom saw charges or something, and she called the credit card company, going, "What is all this stuff? Because I didn't authorize this stuff. I never heard of this stuff." Well, after she'd done some digging, she realized what it came from, and she questioned her son, saying, "Were you making purchases with my credit card on your game on your system?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I bought like $10 million in online gaming cash and coins or whatever." It's like, you spent like $400. I'm like she, and then I feel like, did she take it? I forget what she did. Like, kid got punished, but I'm like, wow, like that's one thing you definitely don't want to do is, and if you're a younger user, you need your parents' permission to use any kind of credit card.
I think I did something similar back in the day.
I believe we all did. What was it similar like that, or can you remember anything specific about it?
Well, I didn't spend like $300.
Not that much, right? But enough that you
like $40, but I still got in trouble.
Well, because it shows up on the bill, and your mom realized, oh, I didn't buy that, so it had to be, And I think that's the thing, kids don't. Now, here's my other thing that's interesting of that story. I don't know how he got. I think he went into his mom's purse because it always says you need a credit card whenever you. And it's like, man, living. Don't. So anybody listening, especially if you're younger, don't do that. If you're gonna buy stuff, make sure you have your parents' permission and make sure you talk about any purchase. Do not buy anything on a whim. Because as you see, we all can get into trouble with that. Now, I never had that myself personally because I didn't really buy a lot of stuff. I didn't start doing it until I was old enough. I was working and had my own credit cards. I would do that myself, but I knew that was me. I really never used my parents' card, never did anything like that. Because again, at that time, playing those games, that wasn't really a huge option as far as buying like perks and things like that. You could do some, but yeah, and you can see like people, like this kid's like. He was buying little chunks like $10 here, $15, like not like huge, but over time it collectively added up to why this bill was so large, and because that's what I remember his mom was yelling at him because he's like, but I only spent like $5 here and $10 there, and she's like, yeah, but you were doing it over a period of time where it collectively accumulated to my bill and it jacked the bill from here to here, so. Good lesson learned, and hopefully none of you guys learn the hard way, but please be responsible whenever you purchase. Unless you're over the age of 18, have your own money, have your own credit card, etc. You can do as you please, but for younger listeners, under 18, make sure you have parents' permission, especially if the games you play are more of an adult-rated theme. And I know some younger kids play it, but make sure that you talk to parents about that. So definitely some interesting points there for that. I mean... And again, these are tips I wish I learned when I was younger. And again, it never really got me in trouble, but in this day and age, it's very easy, especially financially, to spend, as we talked about yesterday too. So, yeah, you really gotta plan it out and have a budget for that, and understanding like what your needs are, what you want, what all. And I feel like you did that with your PlayStation when you got that time when your family was getting it. You're like, I at least need that. I need a controller and a couple games. Like, you had this plan, right? You kind of had an idea. You didn't just... Because, like, your family was saying, we'll help you, but, like, you didn't just start buying stuff random. Like, you knew what you needed. No. You need the system, you need a controller, maybe a couple games. Like, just the basics to get you started. And then you can build off that yourself. I think that's a great game plan. I think anybody nowadays should do that. Especially, we talked about how expensive these systems can be and the accessories and everything. So if you guys this is a tip for you younger guys too. Save up your birthday or Christmas money. Do some extra chores. Really look at what you want and do some pricing, and then give yourself an idea of how much you need. So like I shared about my Game Boy when I bought my Game Boy. I saved up the money to buy the machine, but I didn't have enough to buy any games for it, which kind of defeats the whole point, right? My parents were nice enough to buy me a few games, but that just goes to show you that if you're going to buy a system. Now, what I usually do, and I'm sure Hoss might have done this with, what did your system, did it come with, was it any kind of special bundle? Did it come with the game installed?
No.
So you just bought it straight up? Okay. And some people do that. When I bought mine was...
Actually, my PS4 was a birthday gift.
Okay, so then you didn't. So you probably, that's why if you would have bought it yourself, you probably would have bought maybe something with a game to it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's usually what I do. I did that when I bought mine. Mine was like the Star Wars edition, so I had like Battlefront already on in the system, pre-download, all that sort of stuff. Why we're saying that is for you guys is that's a great way to consolidate by saying, okay, I could buy a system that maybe has The Last of Us downloaded, or Elder Scrolls, or Grand Theft Auto. I believe there's a PS4 bundle at one time that had that. You can consolidate and buy a system, a controller, and a game right up front. That's going to help you get established there, your collection started. And then you can always save up, or if you have extra cash, you can buy a couple more games or whatever else you need. So, but that's a great way to sort of give you a launching point where, you don't like, now Hoss had to buy games, obviously, or I think you got games too. Did you get a couple games in addition to that, or did you buy those?
Yeah.
You got those in addition. So you kind of had, like, collectively something enough to start, which they kind of, worked with that. But these are very important things, and not a lot of us think about it. But really, and I get you guys, like, I've been there. I know it's fun. You just want to play. You want to rip the box open and get everything set up. But really take your time, do your research, and find out everything that you need from start to finish. That way, you run the risk of not getting yourself in a predicament where we don't have money or didn't think it through, whatever. I feel like there was a time I was in the game store, and somebody was coming in. Oh, the mom brought one of the kids in. He was trading in like an old, I think, PlayStation or Xbox, trading it in towards a newer system. Now, I say this with an asterisk because I subscribe. I go to GameStop. I love it there. They're not the best, though, for trade-in. You don't get the best value for your trade-ins. I don't know if Hoss knows this, if you've ever tried that. You can't get good trade-ins.
Yes, I know it.
I'm saying, if you've been playing long as I have, just about, but it's not the best for trade-in. So, especially if you're trying to upgrade. I'll give you this much. I took a game in to trade in one time. Now, GameStop's policy, this was at least a decade ago, they give you the dollar value based on the condition of the game. They look at the disc, all that sort of stuff. Now, the game I had was a $50 game, mind you. Okay, it was $50. I bought it brand new. I think I played it twice. All right, and I'm always careful with my stuff. So it was basically almost in mint condition. No scratches. The guy's looking. No scratches. No dust. It was in the jacket. All that stuff. Basically brand new. I paid $50. Can you guess how much they offered me for it?
Like 20?
Not even. Go lower than that.
10?
Lower than that. He's like,
$5?
I'll give you $5 for it. Really? I paid $50 for it. It's practically brand new, and the best you can do is $5. That's like a tenth of what it's worth. I'm like, I said to the guy, like, you're shitting me, right? Like, $5 freaking dollars? I said to him, what about the $45 I spent? Oh, well, we can't. That's our policy. Well, your policy sucks because I'm losing $45 on a game that I bought and played twice. Like, I'm like, my God, and that's pristine condition. I hate to see someone bring in a beat up.
And then they sell it for retail price.
Yeah, they screw you and go, yeah, there you go, and like, it's ridiculous. That's why I never trade anything in there because there's really no point. Unless now the other option is unless you trade, like, say, store credit, then you can build that up over time. But if you're trading, let's say you're trading a system or a game in for another game, the equal value is not there. So if you guys are thinking about trading stuff in, we're not recommending that. We're not bashing necessarily, but we're not recommending that, especially because you're going to lose, again, as you heard that, you're going to lose more than you're going to gain. So be specific when you buy a game, or make sure that you have something worked out there where you're prepared, because I tell you, it's honestly, like, I understand if a disc is broken, like, I get that, or if it's scratched up, or because the resale value is not going to be good, like when they sell pre-owned stuff, but a perfectly pristine disc, and they can't shoot five, like, I almost like passed out. I'm like, I'm thinking the guy, I figure I'm not going to get $50 for it, because it's a trade-in, right? And I used it. I broke the cellophane. I opened it. I figured maybe like $20, maybe 25, like tops. Like that was, I figure I'll get at least half the $5. $5. Like, wow, really, $5. And I'm like, I said to the guy, like, you do know, like, I only played this twice. Like, I barely touched it. It's basically brand new. Yeah, but $5. And I'll keep it. I said, just give it back to me. I'm not gonna, for $5. I paid 50, and I'll just keep it and look at it, because I'm not gonna. That's money wasted. So now I don't know. That was years ago. I hate to think what their policy is now, because it may have changed since that last time. But think about it this way. Let's say hostage, because now you buy a new PS4 game. Let's say you buy a hard copy, right? $60. You go back and the guy. Let's say you didn't use it, or you used it once. You take it in, and the guy says, or the sales associate says to you. Now, let's say maybe you played it one time. You opened it, and you played it once, but you don't want it. You take it back. And it's basically in brand new condition, because you didn't play it hard, right? You didn't beat it up.
Right.
So you go back, and let's say I'm the salesperson. You give me your desk. All right, sir, let me see. Now, you paid $60. This was brand new when you bought it, right? Looks good. I'll give you $6 for it. What would you say to me if I said, here, $6 is the best I can do you for? What would you say?
I would say, fuck you and leave.
Because that's like a tenth. You paid $60, and I'm only giving you 10% back. Like, that's $6. That's like the sales tax. Like, that's not even. And then again, same thing. And then I flip it and I sell it for $60. Like, that's like the greatest scam like ever for that. And the thing that's funny about that too is a lot of former GameStop employees have come out and have shared this behind the scenes stuff and told people like how really bad it can be. Now, again, love GameStop too to a point. I'm not bashing it entirely. I just think some of their practices and some of the store policies and company policies are not as, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not as up to par and not really where the satisfaction of the customer base should be. Now, some purchases are good. Some things, again, you got to look. I think that's the case anywhere, though, for just about anything anymore. But especially something like this is a big investment because, again, $60 a game and buying. And I listened to, like, I remember going in the store. I listened to people come in. What can I help you with today? Well, this is my first time I'm buying a brand new system. I'm sitting there going, oh, here we go. Because now all the questions are going to come up, and they're going to be standing there for, like, I'm waiting to buy one thing, but the kid in front of me is going to be there for 45 minutes trying to figure out which system. And that's the questions they get. What are you looking for? Well, I can't decide between the PS4 and the Xbox, and I want this much storage space, and I want da-da-da-da-da-da, all these little bells and whistles and stuff. And then the salespeople are trying to explain to them, and you're kind of sitting there going, oh, like, we're going to be here all day, man, like, and I get it, and I want people that should ask questions because you want to know what you're buying, but it's like, you didn't think about this ahead of time, you didn't, like, look into it, and maybe you already had a system, always stick with, I would tell the kid, listen, if you had a PlayStation 2 or 3, that's what it's what you like, go with the PS4 or PS5, that's the same vein, or if you had an Xbox, stay with, not that you can't cross over, but I just think it's kind of silly when you come in and, again, ask all kinds of questions, and then the parents don't know because they're just there because the kid wants it and needs somebody to buy it for them, so it's always fun when you watch that. I would love to be just a sales associate for a day and just try to answer these questions for people and just to see the reaction on people's faces, and then they're saying, well, you need this much RAM and storage space, this much. Huh? Well, is that good? Well, that means, more storage space means you have more room to download. Like, I remember the guy was telling the kid's mom, she's like, well, how much? I know there's like 500 gigabyte and there's a terabyte and 4 terabyte. What does he need? Well, it depends on how many games he gets and how much he plays it and what does he need. Because she's like, well, that's really expensive. I want to get the cheaper one. Well, you can get the cheaper system, but that means smaller storage space, which means he could fill up that thing with 5 or 6 games, and that's it. Like, you're going to end up spending more, as we said earlier, too. So, just to be a fly on the wall to hear that'd be a lot of fun there. I would sure Hoss would love to do that. You could be a great cashier person answering those questions, and just sit there, sit there watching people be like, what system should I get? How much storage space do I need? How many games can I get? And
I would end up slapping somebody.
yeah, I probably would be like, okay, I'm just done with this now. Like, you're too stupid now. Just go. No, I'm just kidding. But it's a lot. It's a lot to drink in. And again, we said this, like, we had the consoles back in the day that were so much simpler. These consoles now are great, but they get so complicated sometimes. Like, you know, and again, it can be worth it if you have patience to do it, put time into it. That's fine. But you know, it's just one of those type of deals. So if you guys know, you've been there, you probably are familiar with this. But again, take your time, no matter what you're buying. Be patient. Ask a lot of questions. Do your research on your own, though. Try to research ahead of time. Or if you have a system, know what you like and stick with that. It's usually the best course of action there. So definitely some things to think about there. We're going to take a short break here, though. I want to give a chance for a bathroom break. I'm going to hit the head. We're going to get everything resituated because Haas is going to probably disappear here in a minute. And he's choking to death anyway, so we want to give him a second to recompose himself there. So we're going to play some tracks for you guys, take a little bit break here. We're going to come back, talk some more gaming. Get your Saturday going right. Listen, I hope you guys are playing games now. You should be on your systems. You can listen to us while you're playing your games. We'll talk you through that, too. Make sure you get some good tips there. If you have questions, you want to submit them in at any time, please feel free to do so. We'd love to do that. I was thinking, too, maybe one day we'll pick a game. Haas and I can do this. We'll do a tutorial on one of the games we want to play. We'll play it as we're doing it. Maybe we could live stream it or something like that. Help you guys out. I know those. I always find those helpful when I'm playing. Better than any kind of like book you read from any kind of a strategy guide, which we'll talk about those. I was thinking about sharing that blast from the past as well. So something we might do down the road should be a lot of fun. But let's pause here. We're going to come back. You guys stick around. Don't go away for more. There's still plenty here at the What's Up Bro podcast show. It's our gaming weekend. If you're a gaming nerd, this is the weekend for you. Hope you guys are playing lots of video games, play lots of long time hours there. Put all kinds of things aside. Make your brain go numb. Have a good time. It's a relaxation time for the weekend. Stick around for more. Don't go away. We'll be right back for more great action entertainment. Grab your snacks, hit the bathroom, kick back on the couch. We'll see you in a minute. Don't go away, but please enjoy these tracks. And hang around for more. Stay tuned.
Hey audio fans, are you looking for fun and excitement? Have you been searching for that special show? You know, the one complete package you want in a podcast? Then check out the What's Up Bro podcast show and experience what true entertainment is all about. Stay tuned and don't miss the action. Available on your favorite streaming services, including YouTube. Thank you for all your support. And as always, we'll see you at the show.
We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for so much for hanging out there. It's great to be back here. Hope you guys are enjoying these tracks. It's so nice to have them cleared up. Really enjoying them. They're fantastic. They're amazing. We're going to continue to play around with them and find ones that we like and swap in and out. I cannot wait until Christmas time again, because now we can play a lot more of the Christmas tracks that we have and love without any possible interruption or any issues there. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait. But we're several months away, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So we are back here. We're talking about video games and gaming and all that great stuff. Before we jump back into it, I just want to preface for you guys, Big Hoss has signed off. We talked about recording this as we have earlier. Now, if you're listening to this, it's a normal time tonight. But there was a chance Hoss said he was going to go shopping with his mother. His mother takes him to go grocery shopping, and those adult responsibilities that we know about. He wasn't sure when, where, if she was going to call, but he's got a call from her as we started the commercial break. So he has signed off. He wishes everybody well. He said he'll see you guys all again next time, and have a great weekend. And our same thing, which we'll share at the end, our normal sign-off that we will give you guys too. So just want to get that message. But however, fear not, I'm still here. I'm going to help you guys. We're going to wrap up the episode soon too. But we're going to continue our video game talk and share some personal things there, share some more stories, hope to give some more feedback, tips and tricks, and all that great stuff. And then actually probably for today, we're going to do something a little bit more unconventional, I guess, in a way, because I have several tracks I want to go. I kind of have this little segment lined up we have for the studio here. We're going to play out some tracks near the end of the show, which should take us to right about the ending. So probably within the next few minutes, I'm going to play this out just to help you guys really relax and focus on your Saturday. So make sure if you've been listening to this, listen to it all the way to the end, or at least go to that point, because there's a lot of great tracks. These are some brand new ones. We're going to play all of them for you that we have here. And a lot of them have vocals to it, which are fantastic. Hope you guys will enjoy that. Just to kind of relax you all for the rest of your Saturday. So that'll be coming up in a little bit, but we're going to talk a bit more here first about video games and gaming, and help maybe give some more information that'll be helpful for you guys. Hopefully the stuff we talked about so far has been helpful. Again, I wish I'd known a lot of this stuff, but I didn't have, and the technology wasn't there when Hoss and I were growing up. It was much different time. And for some of the kids that want to joke, yes, back when dinosaurs still walked the earth, that kind of thing. So, but hopefully these tips will help you. So the next set I want to talk about here, though, in regards to video games. Now, this is something that was very popular when I played games. I didn't make a lot of use of them myself. I do have some. I have some collectible ones that I purchased over the course of time. And some that I have used, because you guys probably know very well if you played this. Now, nowadays we have people using YouTube, Twitch streaming, which, again, check us out. We are going to use that. We have our Twitch channel. Make sure you're following us there. There are some like self-help videos to do this. But back in the day, each specific game had what was called a strategy guide. A lot of you guys might be familiar with this. Some of you newer aged children growing up here, or your new agers, I believe is the appropriate term. You're not a baby boomer like I am going back in the day, or what do they call it? Generation X, Generation Y. I'm not sure. I think it's Generation Y. But anyway, if you're from the last at least decade, you're not going to know this, or last at least 5 or 6 years, you're not going to know this too well. But strategy guides were very helpful. They were books that basically blueprinted a map of the game itself. Now, I've used this for games like Pokemon, I believe Call of Duty I had for that, Assassin's Creed to some extent, and the reasons being was some of the, especially newer Assassin's Creed versions, were very difficult to navigate. And of course, there's all these extra pickups you can get, and never knew where to find them, and would just get absolutely stuck. And especially at games that had like a Zelda, or games are like Assassin's Creed, or a role-playing action game where you're moving in a bigger, larger world map. It's easy to get lost. So, most notably for strategy guides, I would use that for the mapping wise. Now, I also used that a lot for Pokemon. Back in the day, it was very helpful to have that, to know what Pokemon leveled up, at what point, what moves they could learn at certain levels, what effective was against some types over another type. Like for trainers, if you're a Pokemon trainer back in the day, well, you understand this perfectly. You knew what to do to advance, to beat gym leaders, to beat other harder trainers, things like that. These strategy guides were very, very useful. And not relatively super expensive. I want to say on average, they're probably about $20 for a simple one. Now, there were some special ones you could get. I have one special one I think I paid $35 for. It was an Assassin's Creed. I think it was Assassin's Creed 3, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe 4, but I very rarely, seldom did that. I only did that on the occasion, so it wasn't very often. But if it was a special edition, I kind of kept it, wanted to have that there. So those were very helpful. Not for every single game, but certain games, as previously mentioned here, they could be a huge resource if you could take the time to sit down and look at them. Now, I always found when I did that, you could read them while you're playing the game, which is always the best thing. But if you're not playing at the time, read it like you would any other book. Take it up to bed with you, or take it in your favorite chair to relax. Read through it. You can, I never did this, but I know people that would do this. I'm very anal this way. I can't do it, but you could mark in the book certain areas where you're at. Like if you have a map in the strategy guide, pinpoint where you saved your game at, where you know where to pick up where you started, and then you can kind of sort of read there. It's almost like putting a bookmark to mark the chapters that you've read. So you guys can do that. Very helpful, though. There are, I believe, some you can still get today, but again, they're not super popular. And with the growing trend of social media and streaming sites like YouTube and Twitch and all these others, it's becoming more more of a regular method of operation to search online as opposed to buying the strategy guide, because you can usually get answers. And I'm one of those myself nowadays. That's just what I do too. So you're not alone in that regard. That's definitely something that is becoming more prevalent. But they are interesting and can be beneficial. If you can still find one, and if you're old school like that or just want to read it for yourself, you can do that. Maybe you want to do that to brush up on it so that you can translate it from the book to being your own content creator, where you could make your own self-help video to help another gamer play, but you need to get through it yourself. Get through a certain level or bad guy boss, or certain some games have certain accomplishments or things you have to do before you can advance to the next level, that sort of thing. It'll be beneficial and helpful for you to do that. So you guys can definitely, walk through for that. Definitely something that I think, made sense to work into. I might even try doing that at some point too. It's I really think that there are some things to it. I wouldn't, again, overspend for them, and you may be able to get them online and download them anymore. I'm not even sure, to be honest, because I haven't bought a strategy guide in I don't know how long. But they're very useful, very helpful, and again, if you're getting stressed out to where you're yanking your hair out and ripping every orifice you got where hair is, this is something that you really want to utilize, because it will save you a lot of time and heartache and a lot of pain and unbearable suffering. So just to give you guys some insights there, so check it out. Find your favorite game. Not always available all the time anymore, and again, worst case scenario, go online. That's pretty much the easiest option nowadays. Certain YouTubers I know are specifically utilizing their content to help gamers, so that's always available for you guys too. But definitely a blast from the past, and I mean, again, I utilized that a lot growing up with certain different games, so a lot of fun. I have a collection of them somewhere. I'll have to dig them out sometime, look at them again, but great keepsakes for sure, memorabilia. And again, I'm getting that old, I can say that now. A lot of you might not be that old, but if you are my age or older, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So relics of days gone by and days of the past, that memories so untold, and just a lot of funness from yesteryear, and a lot of fun youth there. And gosh, going back to childhood, that's always something, as I've said this before, I'll say it again for you guys, younger listeners specifically, I should say. Don't rush to grow up. Haas said it earlier before, at the beginning of the show today. Don't rush to grow up. Enjoy moments, especially nowadays, because we talked about how bad economically things are just tough. Don't rush to grow up. Enjoy being a kid. Because I'll tell you, speak from experience as an adult too, it's not always all what it's cracked up to be. Okay? And you might feel like, I want to buy my own stuff, like buy my own games and stuff, and you can do that, as we said too. Do chores or save your allowance. Easier ways to do that. Do your homework. That's another thing I want to point this out. I'm probably going to use a section here just to talk about this. Make sure you guys don't lack in school. Do your homework. Don't play games until your homework is done. Try to make sure that you get everything accomplished. Then you can kick back and relax. A lot of people procrastinate. I am guilty of that many times. Anybody who knows me closely will tell you the same thing. But definitely get your work done. It's very important. And then you can have all the time in the world to kick back and relax and be able to enjoy gaming, or whether it's on the computer after you do homework on your computer, or you go find your game system and maybe you have one. A lot of people have them in their bedrooms. I do too, but wherever you're going to play it, but then go back and relax. Make sure your chores are done as well. If you're helping around the house, help out mom and dad, get all your chores done. Even this goes for adults too. This is not strictly just for kids. If you're an adult or you're living alone, or make sure your dishes are done, make sure the garbage is taken out, make sure there's nothing else that needs your attention, and then you can sit down and devote as much time as possible to playing your game of choice. So it's not unreasonable, it's not unrealistic. You just have to prioritize time, and you can get it in. I made this point, we talked about relaxation and balancing your time and finding it. You can absolutely map out plenty of gaming time if you budget your day right. So weekends most common for most people, because a lot of people have off the weekend, not working, or maybe off of school if you're still old enough, you're going to college, or maybe you have a break. There's opportunities there to do that. So you just have to figure out how and when and where it fits best in your daily life. A lot of people will say, I don't have a lot of time, and that's true. Like for me, I really want to get back into it. I've been super busy a lot, so I haven't had as much time, but I'm going to be changing next. I really want to get back to my games. I do miss them quite a bit. That's my relaxation and me time, as opposed to other things. That's very important. but it takes a little finesse finagling. But as a younger kid, or at least under the age of 18, I don't know what to call a kid anymore because I feel like I'm super old now, but if you're under the age of 18, maybe under the age of 15, because usually all the kids start working, whatever the case is, but young enough, you can devote plenty of time to gaming, as long as you get school chores done, anything else your parents need you to do, and it's a good habit because if you start young, then you'll be able to transition that into adulthood as well. So take time for that. You're not going to love it. You're going to hate it. Trust me. I know. But it'll be worth it. And nothing else in your life will suffer because of that. So make that a priority when you guys do that, and make sure that you take that time to just focus there and get it creatively in that right place. Find a routine, find a pattern, stick to it. It won't let you down. It'll serve you mightily for that. So best advice I can give you there. And it opens you up. If you game for fun, if you game to be a content creator, if you video game as a job, that's something I thought about doing when I was coming out of high school for that, and it's still a relatively easygoing field for that. Not necessarily guarantees anything in life, but what is anymore? But if that's something you can devote your time to, and again, you prioritize and put everything else and have it done taken care of, then you will be able to reap the benefit and enjoy those times where you can be yourself, be relaxed, and be content. So, words of wisdom there. Take it for what it's worth. Use it at your own discretion, but that's my best advice to you guys, and that's what I would give you there. So, as much as we love the weekend to relax, get everything done, you can have plenty of time to do that relaxation as long as everything else is put to bed and put under the sun, whatever other analogies I can think of. I've heard so many in my lifetime at this point. So, good example and good advice, and I think very, very wise words of wisdom right there. So I think at this point, we're going to be ready to call it a day here. Just because, I want to spend the last bit of time. We're going to play some of these tracks for you guys, really get you guys in the right framework. We might try to mix this up now and again and try to end on that note, because music, I always find for me too, gets us in such a great mood. And, this is all about relaxation and kicking back. And yes, I know obviously doing this earlier, a lot of you guys might be still working, maybe your day's still, going through at this point in time, but now that you're listening to it now, or I'm at an earlier point of the day, but right now, you're in time of the evening, you should be at a point where you can relax. So this is your opportunity to really get yourself, break away from the day, and I think music is a great way to do that, especially when you've had a hard day or whatever the case may be. So definitely want to play that out for you guys. So we're going to end the show in that regard. We're going to play our couple tracks for you guys, and then we'll have the closing outro going out there as we normally do. If you guys listen regularly, you know how that goes. We want to thank you guys, though, as always, for spending time with us. Again, I know it's not live today. It was live yesterday. If you missed that episode, go back, check it out. We will be live again next weekend, and please remember again, I said this at the beginning of the show, but as a reminder, especially if you're listening to this coming in later to the episode, if you're fast-forwarding through whatever, mark your calendars, March the 11th, a very special episode of the What's Up Bro podcast show, our 100th episode, our anniversary show. It's going to be great. We'll give you guys updates as we get closer. Just put it on the calendar now. We'll fill in the details later, but you don't want to miss it. If you can be live with us, great. If not, we understand. At the very least, come and listen to this later on. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be full of all kinds of neat stuff. We can't wait for it. We're super excited. Also going to hear the advertisement again for the website coming up there. That'll be another great way we're going to be able to connect. Check that out. We'll keep you guys posted there. As always, check out and follow us anywhere and everywhere you can. We're just about everywhere under the sun and across the globe and all over social media. Can't miss us. You know to find us out. You see our ugly mugs there, and our logo popped up everywhere. So check it out there. If you're already following us and a part of our social networking and group family, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys all so very, very much. We say it all the time, but it doesn't get any less sincere because we truly mean it. It just gets more and more coming from the heart, as we say, because we're just truly, truly thankful for what you guys have done for us, what you've given for us. And again, we couldn't do this without you. We enjoy what we do, but it makes it more worth the while when we know that you guys are there to support us and behind it and enjoy it just as much. So thank you so very much. We'll continue to say that. We'll never get old, just like you guys won't either. We look forward to many great more journeys with you guys down the road. Can't wait to see what the rest of this year brings. 2023, new year, new possibilities. So excited. So much great things to come. More special guests. Who knows who will show up here, but we got a couple ideas for that. We know who's coming. Maybe some other options. We'll see. Some live streaming, some more gaming, as we said earlier, too. We want to get some new activities going. So all that great stuff and more. You just got to keep coming back. You don't want to miss a moment of this, because if you do, you'll be sad that you have. So, with that being the case, before I send it off and let the music run us out for the rest of the time, we thank you guys. Be happy, be healthy, be safe. Please don't drink and drive if you're out partying. Have a good time, but please be responsible. We don't want any accidents or any problems because of impairment or any poor judgment based on that. Just please be extra careful. As we say, think about everything before you do anything else. So make sure you guys do that. But again, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll try to get some new episodes coming up for some of the other shows. Stay tuned for that. They'll pop up later this week. We'll see you guys, though, for the next episodes of the What's Up Bro podcast show next weekend. Thank you, guys. Love you all so much. Kick it back. Relax. Get those video games out. Have a good time. Go play some games. I'm going to try to do that later myself. I'm sure Hoss will tonight when he has the time to be there as well. And we'll catch you guys next time. So, for now, we say goodbye, but it's not forever. It's just a temporary till we meet again. That's my favorite saying. A lot of movies say it, a lot of quick quotes. Until we meet again, and as always, we love and appreciate all your support. We'll see you guys next time at the show. Take care. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the songs. We'll see you again soon.
Are you enjoying the show? Do you want even more great content? Then check out the What's Up Bro podcast show's link tree for all studio accounts, including the official show website, brought to you by J&J Production Studios. Catch all your favorite episodes of the show when they're uploaded. Curious to know who makes the show possible? Meet the cast and crew. Discover the magic behind the microphone, not just in front with our staff bios. Want to chat with other audience fans? Enter the forums section. Talk, engage, and interact with listeners from all over the globe. Not on social media and want the latest information? Then subscribe to the podcast newsletter and get everything delivered straight to your inbox. No matter what, you'll always stay connected. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more.
Thank you for listening to the What's Up Bro show. Catch all the latest live action on your favorite podcast streaming services, including Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. You can also check out episodes on the studio's official YouTube channel. Subscribe and become a member today. Don't forget to also turn on notifications so you'll know when new content is uploaded. Stay tuned and don't miss a single moment. We love and appreciate all your support. And as always, we will see you at the show.